Hi everyone, my name is Carissa, and I'm a Senior Payments Product Insight Specialist here at Etsy. This is my 6th year supporting sellers through tax season. Running your own small business, whether it's a physical store or through an online marketplace, includes being responsible for taking care of your taxes. Business taxes can feel overwhelming, but there are many resources available, and learning the basics can help you feel more confident as you get ready to file or work with a tax professional for the first time. One important tax consideration for sellers has to do with something called a 1099-K form. 1099-K forms report credit card payments you've received through a third party to the U.S. Internal Revenue Service, commonly known as the IRS. If I had to compare it to something, a 1099-K is basically a receipt that verifies a business's gross sales, and both the business owner and the IRS get a copy. If you're feeling slightly stressed about filing for the first time, you're not alone. In this video, we'll address questions you may have about the 1099-K form and share tips for tracking your business expenses in order to simplify the filing process. If 2022 is your first time filing business taxes, you may be asking, 1099 what? But 1099-K is basically just a form that summarizes the gross sales income of any U.S. seller who reached at least $20,000 in gross sales and had more than 200 transactions in 2022 through a given third-party payment processor, like a credit card, PayPal, or an online marketplace like Etsy. The IRS thresholds apply to your gross sales volume received through Etsy payments, the total amount we've processed on your behalf, including any transactions made using a credit card, debit card, or Etsy gift card. 1099-K forms don't reflect your net profit or indicate a specific tax amount owed. A 1099-K simply reflects the total gross sales processed on your behalf during the year, including things like any shipping and sales tax you've collected yourself, along with Etsy payments, fees, and refunds. The good news? You can deduct shipping costs, sales tax, fees, and refunds as expenses when you file your taxes, so your taxable or net income will be lower than the gross income you see on your 1099-K. For example, if your 1099-K shows $40,000 in gross annual sales, but you spend $8,000 on business expenses, your taxable income would be $32,000. We'll talk more about money-saving deductions a little later in this video. Maintaining accurate taxpayer information is an important element in streamlining income reporting and keeping your shop in compliance with federal and state requirements. Sellers in the U.S. must have a valid Social Security number, individual taxpayer identification number, or employer identification number on file with their Etsy shop. Many Etsy sellers are sole proprietors, meaning you're not a business entity that is a corporation, partnership, or limited liability company. As a sole proprietor, you may use your Social Security number for tax filing and reporting, or you can obtain a federal employer identification number, or EIN, from the IRS to pay taxes as a business entity. If you ever need to update your taxpayer details, you can make changes on the Legal and Tax Information page in Shop Manager. Here's a pro tip. Even if you're a sole proprietor, you can still opt to get an EIN in the future. This gives you a few privileges. You can hire employees, incorporate, form a limited liability company or partnership, and have a solo 401k retirement plan. Using an EIN instead of a Social Security number can also help to protect against identity theft and establish you as an independent contractor, lending more credibility to your business. 1099-K forms are generated at the end of the year. If you're eligible to receive a 1099-K form from Etsy, it will be ready for download before the end of January on the Legal and Tax Information page in your Shop Manager. If you've opted out of paperless forms, you'll receive a mailed copy after this date, sent to the taxpayer address you have on file for your account. As a reminder, we'll provide you with a 1099-K if you're a U.S. seller and reach more than $20,000 in gross sales and had more than 200 transactions in 2022 through a given third-party payment processor, like a credit card, PayPal, or an online marketplace like Etsy. If you aren't located in the U.S. and don't file a U.S. tax return, these regulations don't apply and you can disregard 1099-K communications. When considering your shop's 1099-K eligibility, there are a few things to keep in mind. Only sales processed through Etsy payments count toward the IRS threshold for receiving a 1099-K from Etsy. Sales that were paid to your own PayPal account or any other payment method will not contribute to your Etsy 1099-K sales totals. If you receive a separate 1099-K from other platforms, payment processors, or PayPal, you'll need to contact those payment processors directly for details about the corresponding 1099-K. It's not uncommon for business owners that sell on different platforms to have multiple 1099-K forms. If you have multiple shops on Etsy, you will receive a single 1099-K form with combined totals for all shops with the same taxpayer information. Keeping your taxpayer ID up to date for each of your shops makes it possible for us to determine whether you've reached the 1099-K reporting threshold. Some businesses may be subject to additional taxes or need to file additional forms throughout the year based on state and federal requirements. You can learn more in our Ultimate Guide to Taxes on the Seller Handbook, linked in the video description. If you have questions specific to your own finances, talking to a tax professional can provide peace of mind. Another question that many new sellers have is whether they're required to pay taxes on the sales from a shop that they're running for fun. The short answer is yes. Even if you consider your Etsy shop a hobby, if you're making a regular profit, it's considered a business in the eyes of the IRS. Determining whether you'll report your shop's income as profit from a business or a hobby is important, since it will affect how much you pay in taxes, and there are special rules and limits for deductions you can claim when the income is categorized as coming from a hobby. Please note that income derived from all sources, including hobbies, must be reported to the IRS. Reach out to your accountant or local tax professional for advice specific to your situation. As an Etsy seller, you're required to pay taxes on income. Subtracting business expenses from sales gives you the lowest taxable income and lowers the amount of taxes you'll have to pay. That's why it's important to keep track of expenses like supplies, fees, and overhead costs like marketing. Expenses and tracking methods are different for everyone, but regardless of how you track your expenses, you need to prove to the IRS that you made the purchases you claimed for your business. You'll need to be able to back up your claims with receipts, so it's helpful to keep your business purchases organized. You can find your net profit for a given month or year in the activity summary of your payment account. Your net profit reflects the total of funds from your sales, minus any refunds, fees, shipping costs, and taxes. For a more detailed look at your 2022 Etsy payments data, including information on fees, shipping costs, and returns, you can download a CSV spreadsheet by going to Shop Manager, clicking Settings, then Options, and selecting the Download Data tab. When it comes to talking in detail about your personal financial situation, it can be beneficial to find a tax professional who can offer both guidance and assurance that you're providing the right forms and taking the right steps in filing your tax return. You'll find a link to our guide to meeting with a tax professional, along with additional resources in this video's description. Perhaps a tax professional isn't in the budget for this year, and that's okay. There are other resources available that are affordable or free. Consider filing your taxes with TurboTax Self-Employed. You can choose an option that offers unlimited expert advice, and as an Etsy seller, you can get at least 25% off the usual price. IRS Free File is a guided tax preparation program that provides tax help for people under a certain income level at no cost. Please note, you must be filing as an individual to use this program. The IRS also has an interactive tax assistant with a confidential search field you can use to find answers about your filing status, potential deductions, and other questions. This year's tax filing deadline is April 18th. If you think you'll need a bit of extra time to file your taxes, visit the IRS website to learn how to file for a tax extension. If you're looking for more information about filing your business taxes, you'll find additional resources linked in this video's description. Thanks for watching!